just made a funny face. He's like, oh yeah, okay.
Hello, everybody, and welcome. It sounds like we got the volume working a little better here now. All right. Thank you all for your patience in coming out this afternoon. We're here to welcome Mr. Jim Butcher himself. He will be here talking about Briefcases, his newest additions to the Dresden Files. And I'm going to turn it right over to him without further ado. Thank you.
A little blurry.
Okay, first things first. A little while ago, there was a guy who was talking to me on the escalator. Where are you? There was like this conversation happening. Are you still here? No, I need to apologize to that guy. When I'm on the way into the store, I don't, for something like this, where there's like, especially when there's a lot of people, if I stop and start having a conversation with somebody, then their friend comes over, and then their friend comes over, and 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 then the fire marshal comes over and says, "You're causing a hazard, get out." No lie, that's the literal truth. So I hope I didn't make this guy too angry, but that was what was happening. So that's end of speech. I'm done with that. From here on out, I figure a question and answer is probably the way to go, because I don't like talking at people. I like talking to them. So
hopefully it's in focus.
But for this to work, someone has to ask. Thank you, sir. Right here.
It's not the greatest focus in the world.
2 questions, if that's okay.
Oh, it's just a
I
screen.
guess.
First one, in Proven Guilty, the first time that Harry encounters McLean's spirit,
Okay.
he's hurt by, his arm is chopped off by Thomas's saber, he's hit by a van, falls into a bus shelter. Why is he not hurt by fire like he is in Practice?
Okay, his question was, in Proven Guilty, they went and did and they were fighting the phobophages, and they were fighting the big scarecrow thing, and he got hit by a van, and Thomas cut his arm off, stuff like that. So why wasn't he hurt by iron? Part of that is because of the nature of the way phobophages work. They're not actually there. They're projecting energy into a body. When he was in Fairy, that's a different story. But when they're coming over to the Earth, you know, nobody wants to drive their own car in the demolition derby. You get a junker car, and you know that's what he's doing.
Second question is, when somebody is when a scion is embracing their supernatural power, how much of that can they do before powers that be basically say, make your choice? You can't live as long as you have without saying,
Right. Oh, the question is, when a scion is deciding to embrace their supernatural parentage, how much of that can they do before that gets locked in as a choice? An infinitesimal amount. To get the power, you make the choice. Otherwise, you don't get it.
Sarissa lived for a long time, but she never made a choice.
Yeah. She never went one way or the other.
Oh, so she just got through.
Yeah. She was just floating along. But yeah, I mean, and you know, her mother was Queen of Fairy. I mean, that carries. Yeah. Right here, sir.
When Harry died at the end of Changes, did that count against the?
Put that out of mind.
Did that count?
I think you're the biggest guy here. You should be fine.
Did that count against the death curse for him that he would die alone?
Okay, when Harry died, does that count against the death curse? No, not really, because he more or less wasn't actually dead. He was just on life support, and so far gone that his spirit was out floating out there somewhere. Basically, Mab was just maintaining the silver cord that entire time until the wizard metabolism could start healing him back up. Right here, you were fastest.
Will Ebenezer ever learn of his relationship with Thomas?
Will Ebenezer ever learn of his relationship with Thomas? Man, I mean, I built it like that so that it would be awful when it happens someday. I mean, that's I have to plan that. I'm like this wannabe, you know, god of mayhem. But yeah, I mean, basically, it's my job to when I'm putting the story together, it's my job to ask, and how can I make this worse? And how can I make this even worse? You know, like that. But yeah, I mean, it's coming up. Right here.
So Harry's, the mother, the grandmother, and the young, the maiden. And my question is, Mav had sex with a bunch of people, and
Yeah?
Maeve, sorry. But,
Oh no, no, Maeve
they
didn't.
can't.
Maeve didn't.
What about and Lily and Fix?
No, they don't do that.
They don't have sex.
Well, they don't have intercourse.
I thought it was implied in the other books.
Yeah, very strongly implied. Kind of ugly for Molly when she finally got there, you know. I mean, because you could have thought, well, at least she'll be having lots of sex. It's like, turns out, no, not even that. You know, not so. What's that?
Because she's Clotho?
Oh yeah, well in that particular triad, she's the maiden figure. Yeah. Here.
Oh, thank you. I was just curious, are we going to get more backstory on Mac?
Are we going to get more backstory on Mac? At some point, probably, because he's got some stuff to contribute to the story before we're done. But mostly he's just like, no, this is not me, man. I'm out of here. I live on 101 No Way Lane and screw this-istan. That's his sort of his attitude.
Very true.
So, here in the very back.
So my question is, between Cold Days and Skin Game, when Harry was stuck on the island and he was trying to contact Molly, if he thought of it, could he have done a summoning and gotten Molly to him that way, considering how well he knows her?
Okay, when Harry's on the island between Cold Days and Skin Game, and he'd been trying to contact Molly, could he have done a summoning to summon her as a fairy queen, the way he summoned others? Yes, he could have. I'm not sure that would have gone well, but yes, he could have. Right here, sir.
Me?
Yeah.
Why did you choose to, on the audiobook, why did you choose to voice Johnny Montgomery?
Because it was gonna save some money. They were all like, well, we're trying to find an actor for this, and I was like, well, I'll do it if you want. You won't have to pay me anything. And then they were like, oh, that's a great idea. I mean, that's mainly it. Let's see right here. Harry's specific about the kind of beer he likes to drink, which is Max Ale. What do I like to drink? Okay, bear this with the caveat in mind that I did not have alcohol until I was 44, something like that. And I can't drink it right now because I'm having issues. But my favorite drink is Swedish cider. You get pear cider from Sweden. One of their big companies is Rick Orderlig, and it's like their Coke. It's like their Coca-Cola company. There's like two competing ciders there, and it's their Coke and Pepsi, and their Coke is available here in the U.S. and that's my favorite. That's the drink I drink. It's beautiful. I mean, it's super sweet, or not super sweet, but it's sweet like a really good draft soft drink. Except it's alcoholic, but you can't taste it after the first couple of sips, so it's evil. So I like it. Over here, behind all these bookshelves.
After reading Zude, have you considered writing a philosophy book based on mouse?
If I considered writing a philosophy book based on mouse, no. No, not at all, because at the end of the day, I'm not a philosopher, I'm an entertainer. I think that would be kind of arrogant for me to go, here's a good way to live your life, everybody, based upon my awesome choices. I wouldn't wish that on other people.
Are you going to have a story on Mr.'s perspective of Harry Dresden?
Well, I have a story from Mr.'s perspective of Harry Dresden. If I did, it would be a fairly short one. Basically it'd be like Mr. going in and waking and batting Harry on the nose until he wakes up and feeds him, and then going, yes, I am the king. That'd be about it. Right here. Behind, there. Hey, man.
Hi. I was just wondering, why did the archive allow Harry to name her?
Why did the archive allow Harry to name her? It had never come up before. You know, I mean, she was born and her mom was gone. There was nobody to give her a name, and nobody ever actually did give her a name. She was the archive. You know, that's a horrible thing to do to a child. I mean, you know, you talk about talk about child star issues. That's where the archive is too. But yeah, it was the first time somebody had given her something that was of her own identity, and that's a big deal. Here at the very back.
Me?
Yeah.
Awesome. In the books, you've gone over like the red court, the black court. Do you intend to touch upon the jade court?
No. No, I mean the Jade Court is, you know, they're isolationists. They rarely ever leave the Yangtze River Valley.
Straightforward. Well, people can.
I mean, there is no conservative on this planet like a Chinese conservative. I mean, they are serious about their tradition and their culture and their history. It's why they plan so far ahead into the future. But anyway, but the Jade Court is off doing that stuff. They don't leave China to get things done. They have people for that. You know, otherwise, nah. Right here.
How did most of the creatures in the Demon Reach get trapped up there? And does it have anything to do with the circle at the top of the island?
How did most of the creatures in Demon Reach get trapped there, and does it have anything to do with the circle on top of the island? Second question, I'm not telling you. First question, I mean, you know, the warden of Demon Reach put them there. You know, that's how you get in there. I mean, that's some place that, you know, it was fairly ballsy of Mab to step onto the island and say, "Give it your best shot, kid," you know, like that. But she's that kind of person, so. Right in the back there. Yes, sir.
Do you plan on doing any spin-offs like with the Knights of the Cross or Butters, or I mean, just having them have their own kind of backstories?
Do I plan on having any spin-offs with Knights of the Cross or Butters, or otherwise having their own backstories? No, but after I'm done with this, I will probably. What I'm planning on doing is spinning off into a series based on Goodman Gray. The name of the series, I'm going to call the series Monster LLC, because there are times when only a hero can help you, but when you're in real trouble, you need a monster, and that's what he is, a monster for hire. So, yeah, it'll be fun. But then I can still recycle old characters and stuff like that, and you know, Dresden can make occasional appearances and whatever I want to do with it, you know. Plus, he's like really old, so I can skip back and forth through time and do the Highlander thing. As part of my storytelling.
Pretty good.
And I think that sounds fun, you know. So, right here.
Speaking of really old, are we going to find out what Kincaid is?
Speaking of really old, are we going to find out what Kincaid is? Probably eventually. Yeah, I mean he's a scion, but you'll see eventually. Yeah. Yeah.
At the beginning of Cold Days, you chose Foo Fighters' Walk as the music of the montage. Was there a particular reason why you picked that song?
Oh, well, yeah, because he couldn't walk. I mean, yeah, I had to think about it a minute, but then I remembered. I'm not terribly sophisticated, you know. So. Right here, sir.
Yeah, is the contract that Harry took out on himself still valid, because it wasn't really fulfilled? So Kincaid's got to have a problem with that, right?
Okay, is the hit that Harry took out on himself still in effect? Because he survived it. Well, you'll have to talk to Kincaid about that. I mean, it depends on what his professional ethics are like. I don't know. But I'll say this is you know, I'll have to. You don't know the backstory about what happened during that. I'll have to write it in as a vignette somewhere, or I'll just write it and put it online. You guys can read it then. Yeah, right here.
So I was looking through your female characters for ideas about characters of like portraying, and I realized there's an awful lot of them, and by that I mean almost every single one of them ends up being tall, hot, athletic, blonde, etc. And I was wondering what your plans are about involving female characters. Like, obviously immortals are going to be tall, hot, blonde, athletic, etc. But as far as any mortal characters becoming introduced, do you plan on adding more diversity in characters?
I'm planning on writing the story that I want to write, and the story that appeals to me, and the story that I think will sell well. So no, man, that's not something I start planning into my writing process. That kind of thinking, I think, is when you're trying to put your political priorities in, you can't tell the story as well. You should never preach harder than you can entertain, and I don't like preaching.
I'll have a good question. It's like I'm is a binder, a sort of that's a subtle caricature of the author Charles Stross.
Is the character binder based on Charlie Stross? No, I like Charlie, but he's more based on Badger from Firefly. So. And you've had your hand up for like a while here, yeah. Okay. Why did Vadarung take the form of Kringle, but like where? Oh, you mean like just generally speaking?
In cold days. Well, did he do that? Was he doing that the whole time? Or was that just
Well, I mean, he's always Kringle when Kringle's around, but in cold days, let me think here. In cold days, okay, when he's acting in his role as Kringle, he takes on the Kringle aspect. And when he's doing that, he's got all like the power of a major Lord of Fairy, but he's also beholden to Mab while it's going on. Mab's no dummy though, so she knows not to go ordering him around. But they do talk and have like strategy sessions and stuff like that. But Kringle's Kringle is what Odin does to keep from dying of old age. Yeah. What is my writing process like? Confused. Generally, the way I work is I'll sit down and I will start working on. I'll start working on an outline. I'll get that all done, and I'll be sure that I know the beginning of the story, the end of the story, and a big flashy bit in the middle. And usually there's some one-liners I want to drop in along the way. And then I start writing it. When I sit down to write, I write a chapter at a time. I write it in order, and I'll go through and the real problem that I have is that I've got like this backwards writing process where other people are like, just get it on the page and then you can edit it and refine it and so on. And I don't work like that. It doesn't work for me. So instead, what I do is I just kind of sit and think until I can see the whole chapter in my head, and then I write it down. It comes out pretty quick, and I find that I avoid lots of major edits that way if I can do it like that. And then after I get that done, I'll send it off to my beta readers, and they'll take a look at it, and then based on their comments, I'll try and diagnose how well that chapter worked or didn't work, and make whatever fixes I need, and move on from there. Yeah, back here, sir.
Hey, and Zude, I'm going to try to spoil not a lot. How much of what Maggie sees is Maggie really seeing things, and how much is a scared child with PTSD kind of coping with their way around?
In Zude, how much of what Maggie sees is she really seeing, and how much of this is something that's coming out because she's suffered so much? Man, it's the Dresden Files. All the monsters are real. Nobody's crazy. They're there. It's just but yeah, I mean, it's real stuff. But it's something I'm kind of setting up for the young adult. There's a young adult series I want to do. Just probably 5 or 6 little books in a young adult series of Maggie going off to the school where all the supernatural kids go. And it'd be like my take on Hogwarts, but she goes to St. Mark's Academy of the Gifted and Talented, which should have been St. Mark's Academy of the Resourceful and Talented, because it could have been smart, and instead it's smacked. But she's on her way to, but she's off to do that. And then I'll have another kid character that's there, and Mouse is going to go to school and get his education. I know everyone was worried about that, but like he's actually a little bit smarter than Maggie, so he'll like hold flashcards up for her and stuff like that. But he'll go to school with her and learn to read and all that kind of fun stuff. But the problem is like there's all these monsters. There's like this pantheon of beings that are predators that only can interact with children, and you forget them when you grow up. So the kids are kind of on their own. They're a little bit fortunate in that the adults have all the adult supernatural folks have sort of reached this disagreement of, okay, well, the kids are in school, we let them sort their own problems, you know, like that. We don't get them involved in what's going on with our stuff. So they kind of have their own little, you know, fenced off area they can duel each other in and deal with monsters and things like that. So, so it'll be a lot of fun to write. I'm looking forward to doing that. Yeah, right here.
I was wondering if you would consider, before publication of Peace Treaty, maybe an online synopsis of what's happening that's important.
An online synopsis of what... I'm sure there's fans that can do that a lot better than me. I've got no idea what happened. I mean, I go to the fan Wikipedia when I need to look up something for the books. No, seriously, you guys are, I mean, you guys, you've only seen the one version of the books. By the time I get done writing, I mean, even with the way my goofy process is, I've seen 8 or 9 or 10 slightly different versions of the same story. And I don't always remember what things got changed and what things didn't. Because, you know, over 15 books, 15 times 9, I've got to keep track of that many. And in my head, the Dresden Files, it's not the one storyline like you guys have. It's this cloud of alternate universes kind of running along together. And I'm not sure which one we're in at any given time. That's why I have beta readers to help me out. I mean, it's the most frustrating thing. I'll get done with you know, with like a good scene or something and put it up. And then the beta readers will read it. Man, this was awesome, except you killed this guy 2 books ago. I'll be like, that's right, I did kill him. At the very back. Yeah.
Quick shameless plug. Your audiobooks are so good that I've put extra miles on my car because I've been in the middle of a chapter and I have to keep going around my neighborhood. It's like, I can't.
Yeah, but that's hardly even me, that's Marsters.
Yeah, my question, did you play any part when they started to become audiobooks of James Marsters being cast as Harry?
Yes, they called me. It was a smaller audio publisher, Buzzy Multimedia, called me and they said, we want to do audiobooks. And what I heard was, we want to pay for your family's health insurance for 6 months. You know, and I was like, okay, great. And then they called me back a week later and said, we're going to get Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer to read it. And I said, that'll do. I didn't hear any of that. Start over.
Did you find out with the books continuing on that if you write or you look at the book, do you hear James or do you have your voice of Harry in your head that stays consistent the whole way?
Oh, no, I don't hear James. I mean, I've listened to maybe half of the audiobooks because, you know, it's perhaps less entertaining for me. Yeah. Okay, here, right here. Yeah.
Okay, maybe I'm just delving too far into the lore, but okay, no, fine. Are we ever going to get, whether it's in a vignette or whether we do a whole nother spin-off, Margaret Le Fay and how she kind of became Margaret Le Fay? Because I'm genuinely curious, and I would read that in a heartbeat.
Yeah, would I do a spin-off with Margaret Le Fay talking about her story? I'm kind of opposed to it generally because prequels suck because you just take all kinds of drama right out of them. You know, I mean, it's difficult in the prequel trilogy to be concerned about Obi-Wan's health when you know he makes it. You know, so it's hard for him to be, you know, going around in the middle of action and for all of us to be like, I wonder how this one's going to turn out. And I don't think that serves the story very well. I think the story is better served by having all these sort of imaginary things on the edge of what you know that just says, here there be dragons, you know. So I think it's more fun for the readers to do it like that. That said, I don't know. I might get to, I mean, if in the spin-off series, if we're going back and forth through time with Goodman Gray, then she might be able to show up, and that would be cool. So, right here. If Harry was more lawful evil, what would his day job be?
Interesting.
Man. Because, I mean, there's so many different things you can do as a wizard to set yourself up. I don't know. I'd have to think about that a while, I think. I'm pretty sure actually, if he was lawful evil, I'm pretty sure he'd be Marcone's enforcer.
There you go.
I was thinking the same
Yeah,
thing.
I mean, you know, like that. Yeah, right here.
I had a question.
sorry, just lost you a second.
Oh, it's okay, I do that all the time.
What do you read for fun?
What do I read for fun? My very favorite author, hands down, is Robert B. Parker. He writes the Spencer Private Eye novels, or he wrote the Spencer Private Eye novels. There was like 40 of those, and then a bunch of spin-off series from that one. And they were all lean and quick, and damn near all of them were really good books. Plus, he just kept writing and writing. He died at the keyboard like a man. Man, that's how I want to go. That's awesome.
Not before you're done.
We'll see about that. Oh yeah, let's go over here. Hey man. Yeah, right here.
They would definitely be done then. But.
Okay. We've done the Fae, we've done the Fomor. Am I going to be introducing folks from other parts of Celtic mythology, like the Firbolg? You may have noticed in the course of the series that those things are popping up more and more. You know, maybe it means something. Yeah, right here. From Hindu mythology, I want to mention them because I want to be sure that that's in the world. But that is a belief system that people follow and that I don't know a whole lot about. And until I know more about it, there's no way I can write about it respectfully. So they're just sort of there and in the background right now. My own upbringing was on the fun end of fundamental Christianity, as opposed to the mental end. Really? Applause for that one? But you know, I studied the Bible a lot when I was a kid. I memorized books of the Bible at Bible summer camp, you know, to get more points for my team. I'm real comfortable with Christian theology and how it interacts with a lot of different Western philosophy. So that's kind of where I'm writing because I want to be able to do it respectfully, and it's really hard to do that unless you know a lot about what's going on. And oh my gosh, Hinduism is so huge and so complex. The various stories that get woven into it, it's amazing. But it's also something that, you know, like I said, you know, I don't want to run over what somebody really believes because I was too stupid to notice that I was insulting them or deriding what they think. So yeah, I haven't included it. I haven't included it as much directly, although they will still be showing up, especially as the series goes on. So, right behind him.
So through the books, you've had you touched base on all of the council's heavy hitters. Are we going to see the Merlin start to actually shine and do something in future books?
Are we going to see the Merlin shine and do something in future books? You know, because he's just sort of been in the background going like boom, 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 but he's only done one thing. You know, I'm not sure why you would think that would happen. I mean, he's probably just a functionary who's, you know, kind of a bureaucratic guy who just failed up until he finally couldn't fail up anymore. I'm sure he won't accomplish anything anytime. Okay, there's another hand that I can't see the face that's attached to, but there it is. Okay.
Are we going to find out who Cal really is?
Are we going to find out if who really is?
Cow.
Oh, Cow.
And does it matter to the story?
Man, that is a really sneaky way to ask me a spoilery question. We will find out who he is eventually, and I'm not going to tell you. So, more than that, though, because I can't answer questions that are going to ruin fun stuff for you. Right here.
Let me try and get the question right out of my head. Throughout the series, Harry has heard little snippets that basically come up from everyone around him. I know something about your mother, Sagra. Everybody who's been around, even Anastasia has said they've come across a little bit, but it's very little. And I was just wondering at what point will Harry come across someone that he may actually just have a meltdown that they're just holding out.
Okay. Harry's wanted to find out more about his mom. Several times people have come to him and said they know something. Lots of times they won't talk to him about it, or they're trying to leverage that knowledge into some kind of influence over him. And is he ever going to find out more? Is that ever just going to make him snap that he just can't? Yeah. Well, gosh, seems like he's got to snap at some point. I don't know if that would specifically be what would set him off. But the thing is, for humans, when you're dealing with you're dealing with your past, you're dealing with your parents. Once they're gone, they're gone. That's that. And you don't get to know things about them. You know, my dad died when I was 22. I can't ask him things. That happens.
Hard to know how you're going to answer this, but is the Black Staff Mother Winter's cane?
Is the Black Staff Mother Winter's cane? Oh, come on, it's a coincidence. Right here. Yeah.
When Harry does a soul gaze on multiple individuals, they always have unique reactions, varying. I'm not sure what the difference is, why they're reacting the way. Are we ever going to see what they're seeing?
Are we ever going to see what other people see when they look at Harry in a soul gaze? I don't know. I mean, I don't see how. It's all first-person point of view. I mean, it's all from Harry's point of view. That's kind of the limit for all of us, though. You know, I mean, what do people think about us? It's when they look at us, what do they see? You don't know. You can look at a mirror, but that doesn't tell you what kind of person they think you are.
Yeah, I was thinking more along of two characters talking to one another, like Billy and Georgia. You know, maybe they had a soul gaze and talk about what they saw or something like that.
Eavesdrop on it? That's cheap. I suppose that could get it done, but I mean, I know what it looks like. I'll see if I can figure out some way to put it in there. That seems like something that would be sort of towards the end of the story.
Okay.
But yeah, right here.
Cool.
Have there ever been any fights where I was really excited to show how much stronger Harry has gotten over time? No, that's never been one of my concerns. I don't know if you've ever read Scalzi's book, Old Man's War. Yeah. That's the one where there's a section in that book where they're talking about soldiers, and they say soldiers never go to war with the equipment that they need. They only go with as much as they can get. You know, it's sort of the same way with Harry. You know, the extra power that he's gotten, all it's doing is getting him deeper in trouble, which was the plan. So. Hi. How much is what? Right. Oh, how much is the first chapter of Peace Talks changed since it got released in the starter? I don't think it has. No, I haven't. Yeah, I did. No, I wrote it there. Oh yeah, you're welcome. There's no guarantee it won't by the time it goes through the editing process, but probably it'll be fine, unless I find something that would just be really awesome to make sure is in chapter 1, in which case I'd change it. So, right over here.
Done. Pretty much said it's done.
Molly toward fear as a motivator. Her name is Sandra Marlin. I was wondering if she would ever show up in future books.
How to answer that one properly? Well, it probably is the proper answer. Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, yeah, I'm not going to tell you, because it's way better to find out the other way. Green shirt.
Was Officer Murphy named after the Officer Murphy in the Busy Day Richard Scarry books?
Officer Murphy in the what?
Oh, Richard Scarry, Busy Town.
Oh, okay. Oh, was Officer Murphy named after Officer Murphy in the Richard Scary Town something Town books? No. She was named after Murphy from RoboCop.
Oh, really?
With the short, cute, looks like your favorite Aunt blonde girl who's like, Murphy, it's you. Good. I'm not sophisticated, guys. I just grab it. When I see a character I want, give me that. Right over here.
Didn't know that one.
Where Lacuna is sort of a warrior princess, Amazonian type, and just like a dangerous spaz. Was that on purpose?
Okay. When Lacuna and Tutu were hanging around, did I make them a mirror of Harry and Murphy on purpose? When one of them was a dangerous warrior Amazon, and the other one was just a particularly dangerous spaz. And the answer is I didn't do it consciously, but I might have been, there might have been some leftover English major stuff happening, when I wasn't looking. Right here.
Hi, I'm a former Stadian, and I'm wondering how much of your dialogue you get from your LARPing.
How much of my dialogue do I get from the LARPing?
Yeah, I know in the SCA I've heard a lot of banter, like what they have, like dialogue that goes on in the books.
Oh well, I didn't hang out. I haven't hung out with SCA a lot. I mean, Oh, about my LARPing. My LARPing kind of informs the books because, I mean, for example, I know what it's like to be crouching in the frost-covered brush at 6 in the morning, waiting for somebody to come down a trail so I can ambush them. From LARP. But I mean, mainly the only thing the only overlap between LARP and Dresden Files is the snark, because I will snark at people there. When I'm playing a different character, I can do that. When it's me, not so much. But if I'm somebody else, like right now, I'm not actually me being Jim Butcher. I'm being famous guy Jim Butcher. I mean, there's like a costume and everything. It makes it easier for me to deal with people because in real life, I'm kind of like a hermit who just wants to be at home and gets nervous when the phone rings and that kind of thing. So, right here.
Why did you choose to set the books in Chicago, and how familiar with Chicago were you before the series started?
Why did I choose to set the books in Chicago, and how familiar was I with Chicago before the series started? I set them in Chicago because my writing teacher would not allow me to set it in Kansas City, which was the town that I actually know. She says, pick a different town, and there was a globe. There was a globe on her desk, and I looked at it, and on the globe, there's 4 cities. There's Los Angeles, which I didn't want to use for the Dresden Files because it's Los Angeles. There was New York, which I didn't want to use for the Dresden Files because all the editors live in New York, and you will be endlessly edited on everything you get wrong, and they will be frustrated with you, and so I didn't want to do that. DC was one of the other cities that was there, and I didn't want to set it in DC because if you set it in DC, you got to write politics. And so there was one city left, and it was Chicago. And I said, "How about Chicago?" She says, "Fine, Chicago, whatever, just not Kansas City. You're already walking close enough to Laurel Hamilton's toes that you don't need to set your series in Missouri." Right here.
Okay, so I know you did a short story for the Monster Hunter series. In your mind, do they take place in the same universe?
In the does Dresden Files and Monster Hunter take place? No, they can't take place in the same universe. Oh my God, do you know how much Puff Harry would be worth? My God! Yeah, that would, yeah. Oh wow, yeah, he wouldn't make it long. There's too high a bounty on him. Right here. To write which? Oh, what made me decide to write Tavi as a disabled character? Because I wanted to do, I wanted to at least, I mean, I was writing a fantasy novel, a Swords and Horses fantasy novel, and it starts off with somebody on a farm that's actually royalty but doesn't know it because that's where fantasy novels start. I didn't write it. I don't make the rules here, people. That was Tolkien. But then while we were doing that, I also wanted to change the formula a bit, and so instead of him being more awesome than everybody, I wanted him to be less awesome than everybody, and for it to make him a stronger and better person because of it. That was why I chose that for Tavi, so that when, by the time he's finally First Lord at the end of everything, he's been all over where people are. He knows what it's like to suffer. That's something you kind of want in a king, Yeah, right here. How do I generate a character? I use a Dungeons and Dragons character sheet. Not the new ones. One of the really old ones that you had to write very tiny and had a shield for your armor class. Those sheets. Old school. So yeah, I mean, and I'll just kind of say, okay, let's go, and occasionally I'll roll dice for their attributes, man. Just, who is this guy? Oh, he's not quite as bright as I thought he was. Okay, that'll be fun, like that. But for me, it's I'm taking these random pieces and sort of creating them and then seeing how I can fit them together because I have a good time with that. And I was one of those kids who in grade school and junior high was always rolling up D&D characters for fun because I'm kind of nerdy. But anyway, so it wasn't broke, so I didn't see any reason to fix it. So I just kept doing that. I know it's not terribly sophisticated. But, right here.
About mouse. So mouse give themselves Harry tells this mom this is all the try to make contact with the state and so they find out. Moms come back and ask.
With regards to Mouse and the monastery he came from, when the monks had hired Harry to go recover the puppies, and he sent him back, but there was one left that he didn't know about. And so are the monks ever going to come and set that straight, show up and try and fix things? You're assuming the monks weren't intending that from the very beginning. Right here.
Can all three queens give Harry a conflicting order that would interfere with them?
Ooh, can the three queens give Harry a conflicting order? They can now!
Gave my idea.
That's awesome!
Good one, man.
You people brought this on yourselves.
That was good.
Going back into the very dirty weeds, what's your favorite system to play and why?
What's my favorite role-playing system to play and why? Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the original edition, not the Green Ronin one. The original edition is dark and weird and oddly, quirkily funny in some instances, and I started playing it when I went to college and just never gave up. I mean, it's a wonderful game. Right here.
Another writing process question. Do you commit to a specific book, or are you working in different ones at the same time?
Do I commit to a specific book, or do I work on different ones at the same time? When I work on different ones at the same time, they end up paralleling each other very strongly.
I wondered.
Yeah, so I try and only do one book at a time. Also, I just, I'm not really super OCD, just enough that just do it in order. Just get it in the right order. I mean, for crying out loud, it should be CDO. That's alphabetical. Wait, let's go over here. Glasses. Sunglasses, right here, yeah.
A lot of the characters are defined by tragedies in their past. So, do you have one scene in particular that you have been moved by or has been difficult for you to write in the series?
Have there been scenes that are difficult for me to write? Yeah, like a lot. Harry talking to his dad, that was hard. Harry meeting Maggie, that was hard. Stuff like that. Yeah, I mean, it tears you up when you write it, but there's no other way to get it into the book, so you kind of got to do it. Right here. Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit of your experience writing for a different universe, like Monster Hunter? Have you ever considered doing it the other way around, or is it too personal to share that?
Have I considered what's it like writing in a different universe, and would I be willing to open my universe for other people to come play in? Well, writing for, it sort of depends. I wrote the Spider-Man book for Marvel. That was a very frustrating process because anything that I did after to change the book after I'd sent in the initial outline had to go to this committee and be approved, and it took the committee like 10 days or something to make time and meet and then come back to me.